Over 10 million people have been displaced in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, with many more facing food and water shortages as the war drags on. This staggering number is a stark reminder that the next world war is not just a distant threat, but a very real possibility that could impact millions of people worldwide. The fact that the global economy has already been severely disrupted by the conflict, with trade routes and supply chains severely impacted, makes it a very personal issue for many of us. The consequences of a global conflict would be felt far beyond the battlefields, with real-world effects on our daily lives. For example, the price of wheat has already risen by over 20% due to the conflict in Ukraine, a major wheat producer, affecting people from Egypt to Indonesia who rely on cheap grain imports to feed their populations. Furthermore, the war has disrupted global energy markets, causing oil prices to skyrocket and affecting not just drivers, but also the production of goods that rely on petroleum products. As the conflict continues to escalate, the potential for widespread famine, economic collapse, and environmental disaster grows, making it a ticking time bomb that threatens to upend our entire way of life. The rise of nationalism and militarism in countries like China, India, and the United States has created a volatile mix of competing interests and alliances that could easily spark a global conflict. The ongoing rivalry between the US and China, in particular, has the potential to draw in other countries and escalate into a full-blown war, with the South China Sea and Taiwan being major flashpoints. Moreover, the increasing use of cyber warfare and artificial intelligence in modern conflicts has raised the stakes, making it possible for a single miscalculation to trigger a devastating response. As the world becomes increasingly interconnected, the potential for a small conflict to spiral out of control and engulf the entire globe grows, making it imperative that we understand the complex web of alliances and interests that could lead to the next world war. One of the key factors that could contribute to the outbreak of a global conflict is the ongoing shift in the global balance of power, with rising powers like China and India challenging the dominance of the US and its allies. This shift has created a sense of uncertainty and unease among nations as they scramble to adjust to the new reality and protect their interests. The US, in particular, is facing a crisis of confidence, as its ability to project power and maintain its dominance is being called into question. As the US struggles to come to terms with its reduced status, the risk of miscalculation and conflict grows, making it essential that we understand the implications of this shift and the potential consequences for global stability. The role of regional powers like Russia, Turkey, and Iran will also be crucial in determining the course of the next world war. These countries have their own interests and agendas, and are not afraid to use force to achieve their goals. The conflict in Ukraine, for example, has drawn in Russia, the US, and other European powers, creating a complex web of alliances and rivalries that could easily escalate into a larger conflict. Similarly, the ongoing tensions between Iran and its neighbors, including Saudi Arabia and Israel, have the potential to draw in other countries and trigger a regional war. As these regional powers continue to assert themselves, the risk of conflict grows, making it essential that we understand their motivations and agendas. The economic consequences of a global conflict would be devastating, with the potential to trigger a global depression and widespread poverty. The disruption to global trade and supply chains would be catastrophic, with the flow of goods and services grinding to a halt. The impact on the global financial system would also be severe, with the potential for a complete collapse of the international monetary system. As the world becomes increasingly interconnected, the potential for a global conflict to have far-reaching and devastating consequences grows, making it imperative that we take steps to prevent such a disaster from occurring. The human cost of a global conflict would also be staggering, with the potential for millions of people to be killed, injured, or displaced. The use of advanced weaponry, including nuclear weapons, would have a devastating impact on the environment and human populations, causing widespread destruction and suffering. The long-term effects of such a conflict would also be severe, with the potential for lasting damage to the global economy, the environment, and human societies. As the world teeters on the brink of disaster, it is essential that we take a step back and consider the consequences of our actions, and work towards finding a path to peace and stability. The next world war would be a conflict like no other, with the potential to engulf the entire globe and cause unprecedented destruction and suffering. The use of advanced technology, including cyber warfare and artificial intelligence, would create new and unpredictable dangers, making it essential that we understand the implications of these technologies and take steps to mitigate their risks. As the world becomes increasingly interconnected, the potential for a global conflict to have far-reaching and devastating consequences grows, making it imperative that we work towards preventing such a disaster from occurring. The global community must come together to prevent the outbreak of a global conflict by promoting dialogue, understanding, and cooperation. The United Nations and other international organizations have a crucial role to play in promoting peace and stability and in preventing the escalation of conflicts. The use of diplomacy, mediation, and other peaceful means of resolving conflicts must be prioritized, and the international community must work together to address the underlying causes of conflicts, including poverty, inequality, and political oppression. As the world teeters on the brink of disaster, it is essential that we take a step back and consider the consequences of our actions and work towards finding a path to peace and stability. The next World War would be a catastrophic event that would change the course of human history, causing widespread destruction and suffering, and threatening the very survival of our planet. The consequences of such a conflict would be felt for generations to come, making it imperative that we take steps to prevent it from occurring. The global community must come together to promote peace, stability, and cooperation, and to address the underlying causes of conflicts, in order to create a more just and equitable world, where the threat of war is greatly diminished. In the end, the only way to prevent the next world war is to work towards a more just and peaceful world, where the causes of conflict are addressed, and the benefits of cooperation and dialogue are realized. The alternative is a world of devastating conflict, where the very survival of our planet is at stake. The next world war would be a conflict that would change the course of human history, and it is up to us to prevent it from occurring. By promoting peace, stability, and cooperation, we can create a more just and equitable world, where the threat of war is greatly diminished. The consequences of failure would be catastrophic, making it essential that we succeed in our efforts to prevent the next world war. The key to preventing the next world war lies in our ability to understand the complex web of alliances and interests that could lead to conflict, and to work towards a more just and peaceful world. The global community must come together to address the underlying causes of conflicts, and to promote dialogue, understanding, and cooperation. The consequences of a global conflict would be felt for generations to come, and it is up to us to prevent it from occurring. The next world war would be a devastating event that would change the course of human history, and it is our responsibility to prevent it from happening. But what if the next world war is not just a conflict between nations, but a conflict between different systems of governance, with authoritarian regimes on one side and democratic regimes on the other? The world is at a crossroads, and the path we choose will determine the course of human history. In a world where the threat of war is ever present, it is up to us to choose a different path, a path of peace, stability, and cooperation. The next world war would be a conflict that would change the course of human history, and it is up to us to prevent it from occurring. But in the end, it is not just about preventing war, but about creating a more just and peaceful world, where the benefits of cooperation and dialogue are realized. The key to creating such a world lies in our ability to understand the complex web of alliances and interests that could lead to conflict, and to work towards a more just and peaceful world. Close, the next world war would be a catastrophic event, but it is still possible to prevent it by working towards a more just and peaceful world, where the threat of war is greatly diminished and the benefits of cooperation and dialogue are realized. The world is at a crossroads, and the path we choose will determine the course of human history, making it essential that we choose a path of peace, stability, and cooperation. Ultimately, the prevention of the next world war depends on our ability to come together as a global community and to work towards a common goal of peace and prosperity for all.